This video is specifically going to talk about more of the logistics of what reunification looks like. So for those of you who are interested in the process or who are current foster parents or in the process of becoming foster parents, you're wanting to know kind of what it looks like, that is what this video is going to focus on. You might actually be surprised at how informal things can get at this stage of the family's case plan. And that always kind of surprises me. We do have a small sample size to, borrow our experiences and share with. But we've mentioned, John and I both, with our first foster daughter who came to us. She was with us for about 2 months. And when she moved on to her permanency, it really was just working out with that family what time we were going to drop her off and all of her stuff. And there was no caseworker there. There was no paperwork. I kind of expected, someone to be there to verify that, everything was going well. And it just wasn't like that. So at the time, it just felt a little odd. Like there really wasn't a whole lot of closure. And to be honest, that's kind of what we're expecting this time around. We only have a few more days left where she's with us, and we still don't know exactly what the process is going to look like of her and her siblings moving back. We weren't given a time. We weren't given any information other than what the court has decided. And that's where the formal part comes into play. So obviously court is going to be really formal. They put together the plan, the timelines, all of that. But when it comes to execution, that really is up to the county and the caseworkers. And that's where we have just felt continually that there's a breakdown in communication. So I went ahead and I sent out an email just to, check in and say, hey, we're days away. What information do you have? Is there anything you need from us? Is there a specific time? How do we work this out? And I got an out of office from the caseworker, and she has been out for a week, and she will be out until after the reunification happens. So of course at that point you go to their supervisor and you hope for a response, but there's very little that we can do, and that's why it just feels weird, with so many rules and regulations and policies to follow, that at the end it's just kind of work it out with the family on moving the kids back in. Also with logistics, you have to know really where your kid is at as far as emotional and mental development. Based on their age and their development, that's how you can determine, what information you're able to share with them. And if you're unsure, be sure to talk to the kids' case team. So with us, we're able to share things with Miss A about, what's happening in court, what the timelines are, but always with the understanding that, things can change. And that's also why we've been, really vague on the channel on, when she is going home, because, one, it's not really anybody's business. So it's not something that we're going to share explicitly, but also there are so many different factors that come into play that, things can change, and we don't want anything to look as if the birth family is not doing, what they need to do, because it could be paperwork, it could be court delays, it could be, a whole number of things. So for us, we are in constant contact with her case team. We're informing her of each step of the way, but depending on the kid, we might do things differently. As we ramp up and we get closer and closer to the day that she moves back with her family, communication with her family has also ramped up. We get to see them more with visits, pick up and drop off. We're texting more. We know that they probably have a lot going on trying to get everything in order. So we, try to kind of give a little bit of space, but at the same time, we want to reassure them that whatever they need, whatever can make this easier for them and for Miss A or whoever the placement is, that we're there to support, because like we said in the previous video, really being a foster family for us, and where we have found success and where we've heard success of other foster families, is really in supporting the whole family. So you don't want there to be any reason why the family isn't going to be supported and would end up in a situation where their kids would be placed back into foster care. You don't want that for the family, you don't want that for the kids. So anything that we can do to really set up for success, that's what we're gonna do. And also we expect that from the caseworkers. There's a big push to put the focus on supporting the families so that the kids don't end up in care. And with that added communication with the family, we're trying to work out logistics such as school, such as phones. There's just a few things that have to be tied up. So if you have kids in your care who have phones and they're on your plan, there's a process of deactivating that phone and having their parents get them set up because, in this day and age, a teenager, has a break without a device. Like they feel very isolated, very disconnected with their friends. And so you don't want to wish that on them, especially during a big transition back home. So for us, we've been talking to them. We have laid out some options. I actually sat with Miss A and showed her how cell phone bills work and kind of the breakdown of the phone device, the line access fees, and then the overall account fees, just so that she can see, because she is almost 16, and this is something that teens should be aware of what the cost is associated with a phone. So I walked her through all of that, and I told her, here are some options that we can talk to your parents about, and ultimately it's up to them. So over the next few days, we're going to work out those details. I think we're getting closer to, what's going to work best for everybody. That's a big deal. I know it might seem, a little unimportant or silly, but think about that phone as that kid's constant, they're staying connected. And then as far as school goes, on our end, we don't have to do a whole lot as a foster family. It's really up to the birth family as well as the case team to help support in getting the kids registered for school if they're transferring back, which is something that Miss A is doing, luckily. And again, this is really where it's important that families are supported, because when you have a family with multiple kids and they're returning from different homes, different schools, it could be really, really messy. So having that support from the caseworker, the GAL, the county, anything where they can lend a hand, they can make phone calls to make sure that the kids are placed in their school again and there isn't a disruption in, their education. On our end, honestly, I don't even think that, since we can't actually register any foster placement into school, we also can't deregister. I'm sure that's not what it's called, but I think it's actually the caseworker who has to contact the current school that she's leaving and notify them of, the fact that she would not be returning. So not a whole lot for us to do, but at the same time, we want to make sure for her sake that all those things are working out. So it's just a little bit of check-in here and there as we're getting closer to make sure that she's taken care of. And then of course there's all the packing, depending on how long the kid has been in care, they probably have accumulated quite a bit. Just figuring out, are they going to slowly move back during those at-home visits, those weekend visits? Are they going to do it all at once at the very end? You just have to gauge where the family is, where the case plan is. For us, what we chose to do is have her send home, I guess, a suitcase, plus a flat tote, one that kind of slides under the bed. Each time that she has had a weekend visit with her family. So, anything that's been in her room that she's not going to need over a few week period, those are the things that just make sense to go ahead and move back and start finding a place in the home. And that'll make it a lot easier the day of, because, yes, there will still be quite a few things that'll need to be moved in, but it'll be a little bit less chaotic for the child and for the family. So there's more focus on them kind of coming together, all of them being together, and less on, where stuff is going to go. And all through the transition, I'm getting texts and calls from most of the case team. I'll be honest, I haven't heard from everyone on the case team, but for the most part, I have gotten, little check-ins, just looking for reassurance, if we're seeing any red flags, if anything's been shared. And you really want to see that, because as things move forward, if you're not paying attention, there could be something that goes unnoticed. So talk to your kid, make sure things are going well. If there's anything that is concerning, yes, bring it up to the case team and let them decide, where to go from there. So that's a little bit about the logistics of having a foster placement and having them transition back home for reunification, or honestly to any permanency, whether they're getting adopted or they're moving in with kinship, which is family or close friends. That's kind of how it's going to look. Of course, it's going to be different based on where you're located. Different states, different agencies are going to handle things differently. And of course, it's always going to depend on the child and the family case plan. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe. Make sure your notifications are on because there's a lot that we have coming up for you.